It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, this is the Forum on Eagle Community Television. Good to have you watching along. Our forum's brought to you by Hayes Med. Well, we're going to talk about kids today, and specifically kids that may be in trouble and may need help. And that's why this program is so important. We have Vicki Hubin to our guest, and Vicki is the project coordinator for the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center. And that's a short way of saying WKCAC, correct?
Correct.
Now, what is the WKCAC? It's child and it's advocacy, but what does that actually mean?
Right. It is the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center. And what we do is we work with physically and sexually abused children or children who have witnessed a violent crime. Basically, we cover 30 counties in Western Kansas, so we cover a third of the state. We have 4 nationally accredited child advocacy centers. We have one in Scott City, one in Colby, one in Sublette. Our mobile unit is actually a nationally accredited child advocacy center. When we come to Ellis County, we come in the mobile unit. When we come up here in this basically quadrant of our territory, we come in the mobile unit.
So people will see that around, that is an RV,
yes,
is what it is,
yes,
but
it
the
is.
mobile unit comes in and does that. But I understand you're going to be expanding and opening an office here, is that correct?
Yes, we've always had a presence in Hayes with the mobile unit, but now we will have a physical presence. We just bought the building at 4th and 8th.
Kind of across from the post office.
Right
down
across
there.
the street from the post office.
Used to be the Quiznos building, and
Yes.
now you're going to move in that great location there. When you talk about children advocacy, what specific areas are you looking at, Vicki? Because there's a lot of areas that kids, and especially kids that need.
Yes.
What do you focus on?
Definitely child sexual abuse and physical abuse.
You know, I had a chance to look at one of your videos before, and for those of us that aren't engaged in that every day, like myself, and in fact to really know the numbers, pretty scary, the percentages of kids that are involved in some sort of abusive home or family.
Yes, last year we interviewed 414 kids in Western Kansas. So people like to think that this doesn't happen in their communities, and I'm here to tell you it happens in every community.
Now you look at the 400 that you have, and you're just really talking the western third of the state. Your map kind of goes from northwest Kansas and then really down to the southern border, if I looked at the map correctly.
That is correct.
So you have a large territory, but when you talk about 400 kids coming into that program, what type of abuse is it? Can you give me some areas, or I mean, is it from really traumatizing abuse to, is it just sort of more general in nature? I'm trying to figure out how to classify what you're talking about.
To us, there really isn't a difference. If it affects a child, it's very traumatic for that child. So we do all kinds of things. When there's an allegation of child sexual abuse or physical abuse with the law enforcement or DCF, they call us in. We're the ones who come in and do the forensic interviews, provide the advocacy. We do court prep, court, and therapy after.
So if you have a child that's engaged in working with you, that's not just a one-day deal. That can be months and years almost.
Right. If the county attorney warrants charges be brought, then that is definitely a process. It could take a couple years before we're in court.
Now you're based yourself out of Scott City.
That is
How
correct.
many miles do you put on? Because you look at that map, and now Scott City's kind of right in the middle, but there's a
Yes.
lot south, a lot north.
Yes.
Do you drive the RV and travel around as
We
well?
do. Everybody is cross-trained. I particularly do not do forensic interviews anymore, but everybody drives the mobile unit. Everybody goes into all of our 30 counties that we have.
Now, is that something that is a regular basis, or do you wait for a call from one of the 400 you had last year and then go to that area and then set up and talk?
Basically, our calls come from law enforcement or DCF, and so when there is an allegation, they call us in. So that's when we go.
Why does there need to be another level above law enforcement? Because you mentioned law enforcement takes that role. Why someone else needs to step in there?
Law enforcement has probably taken there's a class in Kansas called Finding Words of Kansas, and they've probably taken that training. It's a 40-hour course. Basically, law enforcement has to be trained in a variety of things, from dogs to traffic to domestic. Where we are the experts, we are only trained in how to talk to kids. We provide a neutral interview for the child to talk about what, if anything, has happened to them. And that's basically our role.
That has to be a scary time for the child.
It is. You know, we try to make it as less traumatic as we can. When victims and families either come into the CACs or on the mobile unit, they have just been through one of the most horrific things that they'll probably ever experience in their life. They don't know what to expect. They're scared to death. They're greeted by all of our staff. We come out, we try to make everybody feel comfortable as we can.
How many people are involved with the WKCAC?
We have 8 full-time people now. When we open up the Hayes office, we will have 11.
And in the Hayes office, there'll be, what type of facility will be there? Who all will be housed there?
We will have 2 child advocates, forensic interviews. They're cross-trained. We'll have 1 full-time child advocate, and we will have a full-time therapist.
Someone out there and you're going, boy, you can't hardly believe 400 kids in our part of the world.
Yes.
You think that's just, to me, it's a surprisingly large number.
Yes.
And when you look at that, the need for this obviously is out there. Who else helps? Because I know Casa is also involved. There's some other programs, but what is the difference between the different groups that are out helping?
Right. Casa is a great program as well. Casa stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and basically they are involved if the children go to court. In fact, sometimes they go to court on behalf of the kids. We're involved from the onset. Law enforcement, DCF calls us. We come in, we do the forensic interviews. We then provide advocacy, which is a huge piece of what we do, the advocacy piece. That gives the family someone to talk to. Do you need education, support, resources? We can come in and help with that. Also, if the county attorney warrants charges be brought, we come in, we do court prep. We set that up. We take the victims and families into the courtroom. We make it all familiar with them, to them. Then, of course, we're there with the families during court, and then we provide therapy after.
Vicki, thanks for being here. It's a story of how we help kids in our part of the world, and frankly, a surprising number. When we come back, I'm going to ask you a question about what you would like people out there to know that would be surprising to them about what you do. Because
Okay.
there's people saying, well, I've either not heard of this or I've heard of it and I really didn't know they did this much. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how they maybe contact you if they have a question or a follow-up. So we'll take
Sure.
this break. The program is brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum program here on Eagle Community Television. We're talking about the WKCAC, which is about children advocacy. Our guest is Vicki Hubin. If you have any questions or comments about today's program, some follow-up you'd like to have, you can always let me know at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also go online on Facebook and type in the letters ECTV Forum, and you'll find us on Facebook as well. Again, it's good to have you watching. Our guest is Vicki Hubin. And Vicki, we went into the break talking about what would maybe surprise some of our listeners about some of the things you do at the WKCAC?
We have a very hard job. Watching kids disclose for the first time, though, is very rewarding. When a child is disclosing to you for the first time that something has happened to them or something, it's like a whole weight has been lifted off their shoulders. That's very, very enlightening. Also very rewarding for us to watch that transformation.
And when you see that happen, what age groups or kids that are involved with the sexual abuse that you'd be involved with? What are the age groups typically?
Usually we do 2 years old through 18. Usually then law enforcement comes in and does the older kids. Now we have been involved in certain cases where we have done older children as well.
If somebody has a question, wants to do some follow-up, wants to contact you, obviously there's going to be a new office downtown. We talked about it. It used to be the Quiznos building right across the street north from the post office here in Hayes. So you're going to have an office there.
Yes.
But how can they go online? They can find out more. They can look at that cool map. There's also a video there. I can tell you that.
Yes.
You can go. You can just type in the letters, and there's a great video talking about
Yes.
the number of kids percentage-wise that have some sort of sexual abuse. It's a big number.
Yes. Nationally, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before age 18. Out of those, only 1 in 10 will tell. So huge amount.
And when you look at that 400 number that you work with this past year, you can see the need is out there.
Yes.
Even in the 30 counties in our part of western half of Kansas, you do that. So
Yes.
you can go online. Is there another way to contact you?
Yes, the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center is our home office in Scott City. That number is 620-872-3706. You can contact me directly at my cell number is 620-874-8557. You can go on the website. I'm pretty sure there's a way to contact us. Our phone number for the office in Scott City is on that website.
Yeah, I just typed in the WKCAC.
Right.
And it came right up and,
Right.
and found it in Scott City and all
Right.
the information. The key being is if you know somebody that needs help,
Right.
give you guys a call.
Sure.
Because if nothing else, that helps you understand more what's going on and even just information that you'd like to know about this. So
Sure.
How do you get your funding? I mean, what happens? Because, to have 4 different facilities taking care of 400 kids, that doesn't
Yes.
happen by itself.
No. We have about a $450,000 budget now. So it takes a lot of money to take our services to the victims and families that we serve. When I first started 6 years ago, we were about 100% grant funded. Now we're about 39%. We do several fundraisers throughout our territory. We have a lot of wonderful people who give us a lot of money. We have a lot of grants. We have a lot of private donations, private funding sources that give us money.
And are you 501c3 as well?
We are a 501c3.
So if you want to make a donation, it's a great place to do that as well. And is that available? If they call you, you'll get them information on that?
That is available, especially now since we're just trying to open up in Hayes. We've partnered with Chris Munch, who is a assistant professor at Fort Hays State in the Applied Technology Department. He's going to help us with our remodel. And so we're real thrilled about that. So obviously we're looking for funding sources for the remodel.
And he's also a darn good guy. He was on the show not too long
Oh, is that
ago,
right?
too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vicki, for being on our
Yes.
program.
Thank you for having us.
Vicki Hubin has been our guest. She is the project coordinator for the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center,
That is
and
correct.
a new office to be opening up here in Hayes shortly. Thanks for watching. Our program is brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.